Hello rock stars, Matt Vanderbo here. Hey, so far in this Music 201 course, I have really harped on the importance of creating a ton of good, usable music, but also harped on the importance of not quitting in the face of certain rejection. And so far, everything that I've preached in this course is predicated on the fact that you have to put a lot of time into the studio if you want this hobby or this pursuit to turn into a very handsomely paying full-time job. But you could be saying to me right now,
I am extremely busy, or I have all these obligations and all these other priorities, and there is no way I can get more time to work on music. I can't do anymore.
So this video is dedicated to those people along with everybody else. And over the course of the next 10 minutes or so, I am going to give you 5 ways in which you can trim the fat out of your daily schedule to free up more time to be in the studio working towards creating a musical career. And all of these tips are going to be based on the notion that you need to be getting rid of, or at least cutting back on, the time you're spending doing things that serve no developmental purpose in your life, or are just plain good old diversions. So the first area I would like to highlight is video games. Now, not everybody plays video games, but I do know there are a lot of people that do play them, even adults. And I don't want to criticize or demean or sound like I'm talking down on any video gamers. I will say that my childhood was built on video games. In fact, some of my fondest memories in life are the times I spent playing Nintendo, like Metroid and Zelda with my brother, and then playing Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. Those were great times, but that is an area that we can easily cut out so that we can take that time and put it into music making instead. Because by and large, video games serve no developmental purpose in your life. Now, you could make the argument that if you play video games with your kid, that is very important bonding time, and I will not argue that at all. In fact, I would agree. But some people spend 1 to 2 to 3 hours a day playing video games, and if you're doing that by yourself, then I would say just cut it out. But if you're doing some of that with your child, then maybe do it for 30 minutes or so, because that is precious time to spend with your children. But take the other time, the other 30 minutes or hour and a half, and go to the studio instead. That is time that you can spend on yourself to help develop your own professional career so that you can make more money for your family. So cut back on video games. Now you need to treat your DAW as your video game. In fact, I often joke with people and tell them that my video game of choice is one called Pro Tools. Now you could be saying,
Matt, I do not play video games, so I can't save time there.
Okay, great, I get it. So let's move on to number 2, which is social media. Now, I'm going to do an entire video later down the line about social media and why I do not believe it is important for your musical career at all. My entire musical career was built without the help of social media. I never had it at all for about 13 years. No Facebook, no Instagram, no tweeters, none of that stuff. I only started an Instagram account about 2 years ago. So this was after the first 12 or 13 years of my career. And I became very successful and created a full-time job with 0 social media presence, which tells me that if I can do it, you can do it too. With no social media activity and no presence online, I was able to take all that time that other people waste and put it into the studio. So I would make more music while people over here were just frittering their day away. Now, one could make the argument that social media is important if you are chasing an artist type career, or if you are a band or some type of performer. And I'm not going to argue that, because that is way out of my wheelhouse. That is not the lane that I pursued in music. So I'm going to leave that one off to the side. But I will say, for all the composers in the world, you don't need it. And I can now say with absolute certainty what a time vortex social media is, because in the 2 years that I've had Instagram, I have watched myself fritter away countless hours every week scrolling through stupid nonsense that means nothing to me. There is no developmental purpose to going like this. But the social media algorithms are designed for one thing, and that is to keep you glued to a screen so that you can be bombarded with advertising. That's it. They keep you glued to the screen. So I know that every time I press that stupid Instagram button, I'm in for it. Like, it is an uphill battle to pry yourself away from it. And there are so many times where I'll just think like, I'll just check and just see what some of my friends are up to, and I'll click the button. And turns out I see nothing from my friends, but next thing I know, 20 minutes have disappeared, and all I've done is watch some chef react to cooking videos, and I've watched some crazy Cajun dude make Cajun food. The clock has just burned out 20 to 30 minutes, and I've done nothing. That is the power of social media and why you should refrain from using it. So the next time you find your finger hovering over that Instagram or that X or Facebook or MySpace button, take your hand away and go to the studio instead. It will serve you much better to actually work rather than waste time. Okay, now for number 3, let's say that you don't have a social media presence. You don't do anything with social media. Good for you. Then the next area that you might be able to cut from is your time spent in front of the television. Now, I know a lot of people have built-in times during the day that they watch certain shows, whether it's news programs or late night talk shows. It's just that every day will have this predictable pattern where they will spend 60 to 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours just watching shows. If that is an important part of your day, then do it for half of the time. Don't do 2 hours, just do 1 hour. The beauty of a lot of those evening talk shows and the news programs is that they will upload their clips onto YouTube the next day, so you can just listen to that stuff while you're driving in the car where you wouldn't be able to work anyway, and therefore you're getting the content you wanted to hear, but you're doing it when you could not have worked regardless. Okay, so now for number 4, let's just say that you are 0 for 3 so far. Like, you don't play video games, you don't watch TV, and you don't have a social media presence. Where else can we cut from? Well, there's one simple place. It is your sleep. And this is a very tough one for people to handle. And I am not going to go on record recommending anything like crazy, like Mark Wahlberg gets up at like 4 in the morning and lifts weights. I'm not going to suggest you do that. I wouldn't even do that. No way. But what I do every morning is I wake up at 6 o'clock. I'm not a huge morning person, but 6 o'clock is doable for me. My daughter wakes up at 7:15. So I've got an hour and 15 minutes. Usually it takes me, 30 or so minutes to kind of get myself put together, get a little breakfast in me. And then I've got somewhere between 30 to 45 minutes just to work on music before her alarm goes off and I have to start getting her ready for school. You would be amazed at what you can do in 30 minutes if it is dedicated completely to music. Now, I suggest doing this in the morning because in the morning is before all the emails start coming in. It's before your friends are awake and they start texting you. It's before the phone calls come in. It's before any appointments you might have during the day. Morning is a great time to just dedicate 100% to music. And even if you can only dedicate 30 minutes, but it is completely focused on music, you will be blown away by what you can do in those 30 minutes if you just get to work. And what I really like about this method of having a small burst of time to work in is that it forces you to get right to action. So you don't have time to sit around waiting for inspiration to strike or just strumming on a guitar hoping something comes out. No, if you only got 30 minutes, then you need to hit that keyboard and you need to start cranking ideas. You just got to get going. So these short bursts of time are often way more productive than the longer sessions where we can fall prey to the distractions and go check the emails and check your Instagram and all this kind of things. So really do take advantage of the short bits of time if you have them. And what I would recommend, if I could be so bold, would not be to wake up every single day a half hour earlier if you're not a morning person, but try it for 2 days a week. Okay, just 2 days a week. Make one of them on Friday so that if you get really tired, well, the weekend's right around the corner. Just do it 2 days a week. That'll free up 2 30-minute sessions just dedicated to music. And I swear you will be blown away by what you can get done by just sacrificing a little bit of sleep. Now, if you're one of those people that says,
well, Matt, I gotta have my sleep or I can't function,
then I would like to remind you of my favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger quote.
Just sleep faster.
Pardon the bad Schwarzenegger accent. Okay, so there's your 4 tips, but I told you I would give you 5. So if none of this works for you and there is just nowhere to cut time out of your daily schedule to go into the studio more than you already are, then the only tool left at your disposal is to work faster in the time that you do have. So if you haven't seen this video yet, I would highly suggest you click on it next and watch that one. In that video, I give 5 or 6 tips on how you can work faster. So if you can get to the point where you are doing twice as much work in the same amount of time, then you have essentially doubled your productivity. So all of these tips were really designed to give you ways in which you can free up 30 to 60 minutes a day. Okay, essentially what we're doing here is we are creating an extra hour out of the day. You can think of it as adding a 25th hour to your day if you'd like, but we are creating time to be in the studio where that time didn't exist before. So even if you go through all of these suggestions and you can only free up 1 hour per week, well, you still have succeeded because now you've put 1 hour more into the studio that you didn't do before. So to wrap this all up, my challenge to you is to find ways in which you can cut out things that serve no developmental purpose in your life or are just mindless diversions that you do not need. And I could almost guarantee, because I'm not going to say 100%, but I can almost guarantee that we can all find areas that we just waste time throughout every day. And if we were to take that wasted time and put it into the studio instead, you could make so much more music. So now here's one more Valentine's joke for you. How did the fire fall in love? It found its perfect match. Oh, burn, baby. See ya.